Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And good morning, Kentucky, and welcome to Kentucky's Voice. We're so glad that you're going to be able to join us this morning. We have a great show lined up. In fact, you might want to call your friends and family and let them know this is a show that they'll definitely want to tune into. As usual, we'll be talking about faith, freedom, and common sense leadership here. And with that in mind, we are joined by Senator Aaron Reed from District 7. Aaron, I think most of you know, is a former Navy SEAL, a Kentucky lawmaker who brings real-world experience, discipline, and service to the state Senate. And he's already making an impact. And again, we'll be getting into that here in a second. He's been there about a year. We will be talking about some legislation with that in mind that he has moving through the legislature that I know that most of our listeners will be extremely interested in. We will be talking about public safety, constitutional rights, national security, and the priorities that are shaping Kentucky right now and our future.
That's right. And we're going to have a lot of fun, too.
Yes, yeah. We always have a lot of fun here,
That's
Tom.
what we do in this show. We have some fun.
Right.
Fun, making some noise. Go ahead.
Yeah, but before we get started, I do have a clip I would like to share with you featuring White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who I just absolutely love. If you could go ahead and play that clip.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Nome spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
And Tom Fallbush and I are sitting here with big smiles on our face.
Yeah,
How can you not love
she just
Caroline
lit
Leavitt?
him up. Just lit him up, just gave him a new one. That's, and she's so
Game,
right.
set, match.
Game, set, match. She's so awesome. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what she's doing. She's trying to reframe the narrative to where, we have all this empathy towards all the wrongdoers, all the illegals, all the criminals, all these. The empathy needs to be in the American people. We're the ones suffering. We're the ones always forgotten. And so it's so appropriate for her to use that narrative. What about all the people that got killed? Lincoln Riley, all these. Hello.
Yes.
I mean, it's just.
Yes.
Where's your concern? Whatever. It's just toxic empathy. That defines the left. They empathize and care about things the wrong things, and they go too far with it. And so. As
always, they go too far, and it is refreshing to have someone like her. She's brilliant. I mean, young lady that God clearly has gifted with the ability to snap back and stand for truth, against these leftist crazies. And you're right, Tom. It is disgusting when you really think about it, what they are doing to our country. That they're putting murderers and rapists and pedophiles before the American people. Anyway, exactly right. We are going to be right back. Again, we're honored to have Navy SEAL Aaron Reed on the program today. He brings a very unique perspective to what's going on right now in Frankfurt. Tell your friends about it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Kentucky's Voice.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. Again, it is time. Tom and I were just talking about our guest today, Aaron Reed. It is time to lock and load because Aaron is not only a brilliant state senator, he is also a former Navy SEAL. Not too many people can say that, and that is something that's really cool when you think about it. He is also working on some very important legislation. One, Senate Bill 7, another one is Senate Bill 75, both aimed at restoring access, accountability, and constitutional rights as far as our citizenry is concerned. But I'm going to start out. I want to play a clip that Aaron had held a press conference on at the Capitol a couple days. Please play clip 1.
And present Senate Bill 7. Unless you have a regional office in your backyard, every one of us has heard the same message from constituents that the current driver's license system is not meeting the needs of Kentucky. We have long drives, long lines, and repeated delays that have created real frustration across the Commonwealth. In many rural counties, families are traveling up to an hour or more just to obtain a license. This is not accessible government, and it's not the standard that we should accept. Senate Bill 7 provides a practical, conservative solution by giving counties the option to bring driver's license renewals back home. It's not a mandate. I need to stress that. It is an option. It's a tool that they can use to better serve their citizens. Some key highlights of Senate Bill 7 are its renewals and duplicates only in this bill. Counties will handle simple, efficient services, not first-time licensing or testing. Participation is voluntary. No county is required to take this on. This is local choice, not a top-down mandate, if you will. We are not ramming anything down anyone's throat. So there's also a $25 convenience fee added to this. It's retained locally so that the counties can break even and avoid an unfunded mandate that you hear so much about.
And, of course, that was Senator Aaron Reed from District 7. Welcome to Kentucky's Voice, Senator Reed. We're honored to have you on the program today.
Thanks, Bob. It's awesome to be back here with you and Tom. I feel like this is my home radio station. I've been around here a couple times now.
Yeah, we absolutely enjoy having you on, and there's a lot to unpack. In that press conference, and some things that I don't even fully understand with regard to it. But I will say this: it's long past due to bring the licensing back to the county, and it's ridiculous that folks have to drive, sometimes 45 minutes to an hour. And then once they get there, a lot of times they're waiting an equal amount of time, if not more, to go through the process.
Let me add this. And when they get there, oftentimes they learn they have to have more documentation to do what they call the real ID, which is this new ID that they're issuing now so you can fly. And so you've got to bring a passport, you got to bring your birth certificate. So guess what? You've got to drive home for 45 minutes and go get that, and then come back for another 45 minutes. And so it is like the worst time to kind of regionalize our driver's license operations. So Senator, great work. Let's get this passed. What can we do?
And I do want to invite, Tom, any listeners that have a question. I have a feeling there might be a few folks in our listening audience that might have some questions for Senator Reed. Yeah. If you do, you can text those to 502-571-0970. Again, the text line number is 502-571-0970. We would absolutely love to hear back from you with regard to it. And I know there's another bill over on the House side, maybe even a couple, that are trying to, with a similar process or idea in mind, to do something about this atrocious licensing system that we've had to deal with for the last couple years. And I know that I think you told me just before we went on the air, your bill has already went through the Senate. Is that correct?
That's right. We passed this Senate Bill 7 out of the Senate.
And that was this morning.
This morning, yes, sir.
Yep. Awesome.
So that's some late breaking news, folks, that we just got. So the bill has passed the Senate. Now the sausage making begins because it's got to go over to the House. And
it's not even halfway through the process. It's important to know the process is a very long process. And, people have seen my bill and people have, made comments good and bad on it. And it's important to note that I can almost guarantee you the form of the bill right now will probably not be how it comes back to the Senate. And, I'm starting off with the best possible option that, that appeases all of the stakeholders who could crush this bill on the second. So we're trying to start off with the best possible yes, and then as it goes through the gauntlet, and it'll get forged in fire. And so when the people see it for the first time, when it gets approved and voted on and passed, I can tell you it's probably going to be more exactly what the people are looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the major difference between your bill and what's being passed on the House side? I think Savannah Maddox has a.
Well, nothing's been passed on the House side. There's several bills that are filed.
I see. Okay.
Filing a bill is simple. You get in there and you file a bill. Now, Savannah and I, we're good. We speak very often. We communicate on things. We're working on things simultaneously. Her bill is an option and mine is an option.
Got it.
And it goes through the process. My bill just passed the Senate, so we have this bill up and running. So we wanted to make sure that the House had this one in their court to start working on getting this taken care of. The current system just doesn't work. The reason for doing this, people were driving, like you said, driving long hours, waiting months, missing work, just to renew a license.
Yeah,
and my bill is going to open it up to county clerks, circuit clerks, sheriffs, and the county judges. They're all local, they're all accountable, and they're all accessible. The government should serve where the people live and not force them to navigate a maze like all over the state looking for, a slot to get into a regional office.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's optional too. You have a lot of these counties, like say way out in western Kentucky or something, that have a very small population, and so maybe 2 or 3 counties might want to get together and share a licensing bureau. So that's good.
In the middle.
Exactly right, just in the middle. So there's a great. I like the optional model because the top down, government knows best approach never works, and so that's a great approach. Well, what can we do to help support it? I mean, what's the
I think the biggest issue, and we all know this, is if you have to explain yourself, you're probably behind the power curve. And I understand that when people read this, they're a little confused. The knee jerk was, yeah, someone's finally getting a bill through that brings it back to the counties, and that's what this bill is. This is a bill that is realistic. It has a realistic survival rate through the gauntlet.
Right.
And that's going to bring it back the first step, get our foot in the door. We're going to let's get renewals back at the county level first. And then we can talk about getting more. Now, think about how much time we have left in this current governor's administration.
Yeah.
If we were to go full send and say, hey, we're gonna send this bill over, and you're gonna go full send. Everything's going back to, let's just say, the circuit clerk or the county clerk. They get it all, 100% testing and all that. There's nobody in the legislative or in the General Assembly who believes that's even an option, that our current administration is even capable of getting that done.
Got it. Okay.
We're better off if we did that. We'd probably put a date on the bill that is when this administration comes to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And the new administration takes over.
Exactly right.
Whoever that may be.
Who
But I can tell you, it's probably going to be a Republican. At least I'm praying really hard.
Absolutely. We're going to work towards that for sure. So who would be the opponent of that? I mean, what opposition do you see to this? Because it seems like it's very popular now. People have,
you would think that there's a really hot button and everyone was in love with it, but man, that is not the case. I tell you, there's a lot of folks who, for the past 6 years have been pushing this regional office or this regional driver's license model. And it would shock you to know who behind the scenes are involved with blocking everything that has to do with bringing power back to the counties. I like to, in my floor speech, for instance, so, I referenced President George Washington, his belief. Yeah. His belief was that the strength of our republic rests in government that remains close to the people and accountable to them. So, man, I really see the value in bringing this back. Local officials answer directly to their neighbors. If service is bad, voters know exactly who to call. You can't do that in a bureaucracy, which is the current situation at these regional offices. Good luck complaining to them and getting anything changed. But if you go down to your circuit county clerk or your judge, your sheriff, you're complaining to the man right there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we need to rediscover localism, rediscover federalism in our system, and this is a great example of that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and Tom and Aaron, government absolutely should always work for the people, not the other way around. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a little bit of a broader view with Aaron, especially leaning on his Navy SEAL experience. We'll be right back with more of Kentucky's Voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm Bob Scott, along with my co-host today. We are absolutely Tom Fawbush. We are in the process of talking to a special guest. Aaron Reed is on the program, and really, before we went to break, we do need to give a little bit more for those who might have joined the program a little bit late. This is a topic, I think it's honestly probably the hottest topic right now in our state with regard to addressing the driver's licensing process in the state. And there is a process. You know, I talk often about the sausage being made, in Frankfurt. And folks, I will tell you, I have done lobbying in the past over there, and it can get downright ugly, the way it's done. You'd be shocked if you knew some of the, probably wouldn't. Our audience is pretty smart. They know really what's going on and how things are happening.
But it's good to review this stuff. It's good to review
it. It is.
To remind people this is how it works.
We'll go back to like a Schoolhouse Rock. And I know, Tom, that a really great text came in.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a text from
we were.
On this topic. He said, I got my first real ID 10 years ago, made an appointment for my renewal. It took all of about 20 minutes, yet there were 100 people waiting in line. So he encourages folks to not wait to the last minute. And then he asked the question, why was it removed from the counties in the first place? So Senator Reed, why'd they remove it from the counties? What was the reasoning?
It's a good story, actually. For about 80 plus years, it's been at the circuit clerk's office. It's been there, and they got there in the first place because no one was really going to the circuit clerk's office for anything that was good. They were going there for things that really they were irritated about, paying some type of tax fee, restitution, court costs, you name it. So the state decided to offer it up. Hey, why don't you guys take the driver's license so you'll have a good interaction with the public and build a rapport with your community. So they did that. And then in 2019, ballpark 2019, the Real ID started getting hot and heavy. And, there was all these regulations, federal regs that came down that laid upon the circuit clerks. And a lot of people think the circuit clerks just didn't want it. But, through further review and interviewing folks that were there, like, no, we were forced, all these regs were forced upon us and we just couldn't do it. It's what,
Okay.
So Governor Bevin was the governor at the time, and it was presented to him to this regional model. And long story short, he decided that was a good idea. They put it to a vote in the legislature. It passed. And, here we are. And then, of course, Governor Bevin did not win his election. And we were strapped with the Democrat governor administration. And here we are with the current situation 6 years later. Nothing's really improved all that much. So.
Okay. And so it's federal regs, so federal regulations of the Real ID that kind of forced the hand here because it became too complicated to operate at the county level. Interesting.
To be clear, there were a lot of Democrats that were in favor of this legislation as well. I know one in particular who worked very hard to get this passed. And hindsight's always 20/20. You think on the surface it's a good idea. Until you get into actually implementing it. And I know Senator Reed had talked long and hard about that. And that's the key now is just getting something across the finish line that's going to streamline it and bring it back to some normalcy. And that is something that we are looking forward to happening. And I personally think it will pass. I think there'll be a lot of heads that will roll on the House side, especially if this legislation or this doesn't get changed. We know something has to happen.
Well, let's do this. Let's ask Senator Reed to help us understand how the process works in Frankfurt. Because like you said, we talked about this during the segment. A lot of people, we take for granted that our audience understands the ins and outs of how a bill passes and all this. Most people understand it on some level. There's a legislature, there's a governor, they got to pass something, their governor's got to sign it. But just, in your 60-second Schoolhouse Rock version,
Yeah.
Senator Reed, how would you describe how this bill gets passed, and what's the steps?
First of all, if you can pass a bill, everyone loves it. Like, I'm talking, if anybody hates it, they can torpedo your bill and sink it to the bottom of the ocean. It's crazy. I mean, so first of all, me being a senator, I have to get a bill written, put together, and then I'll file it on the Senate floor. And then it'll go through its first committee, which is committee on committees. All the leadership get together and they'll look at all the bills that were filed, and they'll assign those to an actual Senate committee where there's a chairman in charge of that committee, and that chairman decides whether he or she is even going to hear that bill in committee. So that's the first real big hurdle, is getting a chairman to go along with it. And a lot of times I'll use chairman to kind of weed through the ones they don't want to hear. So if someone doesn't like it, they can kind of influence the chairman to say, hey, this is a crap bill. Go ahead and just ignore that one. But if you get it onto a committee, that means the chairman's good with it.
Okay.
And then you present it to the committee, which has got 10 or so members on it in the Senate. And you present like that video that you showed was me in the committee. It wasn't necessarily a press conference. That was me presenting my bill to the Senate Transportation Committee, chaired by Senator Higdon. And it passed 9-0, perfect score. There was one senator that was absent. It would have been a 10, but then that means it can go to the floor. And then when it's presented to the Senate floor, it's up to the majority floor leader to whether he wants to
even
put
bring
it
it up. Yeah, right.
So it goes through a couple of different leadership folks before it even gets to the floor. So Max Wise brought it up on the orders of the day this morning, and we voted on Senate Bill 7. I had 34 yes votes and 1 no vote. So very, very strong. And now it's going to be tossed over.
And that, Aaron, it was one of the first bills to actually.
It was the first bill to pass in the Senate.
The first bill, and the fact it was number 7 tells me too that it is a high priority bill. Correct.
Correct. Top 10 usually in the Senate is kind of it projects to the House that these are some of our really high priority bills. Not to discount any other bills, but this is one that we're all kind of united together on. And you note that I had like 29 co-sponsors on this bill too. So there's only 38 senators. So 29 of them co-sponsored it. So now it's over at the House. And on Tuesday, when we come back, the House will have that Senate bill, and it has to go through the exact same process over there. So they'll have to, the House will assign it to a committee, and the committee chair has to, like, hey, I want to hear this bill. If he doesn't want to hear it, he or she doesn't want to hear it, it ain't going on the committee. So then I have to go to the committee, and I'll have a House member with me who will sponsor it with me. We'll carry it through the House, and we'll present it, and hopefully it'll pass. I'm sure it'll see some adjustments, because when it goes to another chamber, there's lots of adjustments that typically happen. And then if there is an adjustment and it goes to the floor, the House floor, they'll.
Who do you have that's going to go with you? Do you have that person lined up?
I've got a couple people that are interested. We haven't finalized who the point man will be yet, or woman. But I've got a couple folks that are talking in there, and once it goes to the House floor, it still has to be brought on the House floor for a vote by the floor leader, the majority floor leader. And if he or she, it's Stephen Rudy in this regard over there, and if Representative Rudy is interested, he'll bring it up for a vote, and if it passes, if there's no changes to it, then it will become law. But if there's any changes to it, it has to come back to the Senate.
Well, it shows you.
Sorry, let me back up. It won't become law yet. It has to go to the governor's desk.
Yeah.
And the governor gets to take a look at it. And if he vetoes it, then what we always say is the thing about voting for a good bill once is if the governor vetoes it, you get to vote for it twice.
You get to vote twice here in Kentucky, and it will generally pass because of our supermajority. So that is a great summary of of what I was about to play the Schoolhouse Rock anthem here as we were listening to that. But that's awesome. Thank you for that, Senator. We'll be right back. We have some great text comments on this licensing thing here at Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law.
There we go. We're going to stop there because that is great. Yeah. It's bringing up so many memories. But there we go. Somebody called Senator Aaron Reed and said, "Hey, I've got an idea. Let's put a bill forth," and he did, and it's gotten passed.
I have a feeling it was a lot of somebody's.
Exactly right.
have called into Senator Reed and made this known. And Aaron. And we are getting a lot of
text.
A lot of text. In fact, go ahead, Tom. Share a couple of them right now.
Yeah, right now. It's got to change. Whoever goes against this bill does not have to go and get their license. They are able to go behind the doors and get theirs done, if you know what I mean. So in other words, it's it's all these powerful people. They don't need to do what we have to do.
And I'll read this one. Metro government needs offices in all areas. Talking about Louisville, of the county as well. If we want to go to planning and zoning meeting, we have to drive from all corners of the county to downtown. So that's more of a bigger picture statement there. But, again, the whole idea, at least from a conservative standpoint, is that government should be designed to make people's lives easier, and not something that you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to try to get an answer or things done, and that's what's encouraging.
And power should be closer to home. Closer
the power
to the people,
has to be.
Devolve it down to the people.
Yes,
the
yes,
level.
And again, God bless former Governor Bevin, but I'm not sure where he ever thought this was a good idea because
somebody gave him
it's not. And I'll go as far as saying, in many respects, it's been a disaster. So it's time. For a change. I know I don't want to take up too much time on this topic. We've already carried it over, but this is good subject matter. Again, folks, if you have a comment that you'd like to share with Senator Reed, you can do so by texting us at 502-571-0970. Again, that text line number is 502-571-0970. I know there's another bill that you're very close to your heart that you're working on as well, Aaron, and if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, can I ask him this on this other bill?
Ahead.
Just what can somebody do if they're watching? What would you encourage them to do? Should they call to support the House bill, or what should someone do if they're concerned about this issue?
Well, anyone in the House would be good to talk to at this point. We've passed it in the Senate, but if any adjustments take place to the bill, which I fully expect that to happen, no one is expecting it to go to the House without any adjustments, and that's great. That's fine, because we want everybody to have a part in this. This doesn't have to be Aaron Reed's Senate bill. This is the General Assembly's for Kentucky's bill. So by all means, call your state representative and whoever that may be, and let them know if there's any adjustments that you want, anything you want to see on it. We just had to get something. We had to get the base established and get our foot in the door with a bill with some priority and getting some buzz in the state, because that's how you get the others to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So in the past, there's been bills filed to fix this, but they just don't get any traction. They'll sit there and they'll just sit there and have be covered in dust, and another year will go by and nothing happens. So the bills that are over in the House, they're not awful. It's just that they're not bad at all. In fact, if it all went back to the counties, that would be the best move. I would love to see that. I'm just not confident in the ability for that to happen
quickly
through our current
through our
administration.
current system. Right.
It would probably take a couple of years, and then we'd have a new governor anyway. So, the idea is that we get this passed, to do renewals now, and we'll have the base and the groundwork laid to do more. That's the strategy that we're looking at this point. Would we love to just rip that Band-Aid off and full send to the counties? Heck yeah, that'd be awesome. But I live in a world of reality here, and I'm trying to make the best plan for what is actually possible.
Right. Yeah, politics is the art of the possible, isn't it? So, and in your description of how the system works, how the process works, really highlighted how important leadership is in both the Senate and the House. They are the gatekeepers in every step of the way, and not to ask you to say anything good or bad about the leadership, but just, is that a challenge this year? Or is the leadership doing? How do you feel the leadership is moving bills forward this year? Are they doing well?
It's it seems to be we have a pretty good lineup of leadership, I believe.
Okay.
One of the things people always ask me, what's shocked you since you've been there? What's something that you've learned? And I tell you, one thing that has shocked me is that not everybody up here is a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's the knee jerk, and that's what, it's so easy.
Right. That's the default setting, so it's kind of usually. Yeah.
It is. It's so easy to fall into that on social media. These guys, they're all back scratching each other or whatever.
Right.
Man, everyone wants the best for their constituents. I mean, they have to. That's how they keep getting reelected if they do. We're all here, and when we work as a team, you can't come up here expecting to be a king, because if you do that, you'll be on an island.
That's
and
right.
You'll get nothing done for your folks. You have to come up here with the mindset of rallying the troops and being a leader, and bringing your colleagues around to your way of thinking, so that you can do the best possible job for your constituents. And that is the problem. That is the hurdle to get over, is to be the guy that everyone looks to in the middle of a fight, to lead that charge, pick up that flag, and run towards the sound of gunfire.
Well, we need to do BUDS training for the legislature. So what we need to do is do Hell Week. So let's just.
And that's a perfect segue, because the other bill that Senator Reed is working on deals with concealed carry and lowering the age. I think it's Senate Bill 75.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about that bill?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I filed this bill in the Senate last session. It was Senate Bill 75 then as well. And, working with the NRA, we had a bill that, we have constitutional carry in Kentucky. And this bill basically changes the age from 21 down to 18. So, if you're 18 to 20 years old, you can carry currently on current law, you can carry a handgun on your side or anywhere as long as it's visible. You can John Wayne it all day long. 18 to 20-year-olds can do that now. But all we're asking with this bill is that they can cover it up, and you can wear a jacket over top of it and be an adult that you are, because you're 18 years old. You can go to war, you can join the military, you can you can sign contracts, serve in combat. You're an adult. It's not a stretch to go outside of this norm that people have given our young adults, that they are not actually adults until they're 21. It's kind of crazy to think that way, but it's fear-driven politics. People want to say that you got to have training to receive or be able to utilize your constitutional rights. And there's nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you got to have training to have the rights to defend yourself. This bill will affect, I think, females mostly, because ladies aren't going to walk around like John Wayne. They're not going to carry a pistol on their side for protection.
Good point.
We need to give our young ladies the opportunity to carry concealed. And one thing that I'm trying to get back to is, if you've looked around, you've seen the news, the norm is that citizens are scared and criminals are empowered because they just keep getting away with everything. It seems that way.
Yeah.
I want to benefit the law-abiding citizen and make criminals scared again. I want them to, when they walk out into society and they're thinking about messing with a young lady or a young man or whatever, they need to think twice, because an armed society is a polite society.
That's right. More guns, less crime. There's a great book on that topic, and it's exactly right. And I love your thinking there, because in this current day, we seem to have this idea of prolonged adolescence where people never really grow up. They're living in their parents' basements till they're 30, and it's just unhealthy. We need to get back to, hey, you're 18, you're an adult. You need to act like it. And guess what? You actually have some rights, and you also have duties. But here are some rights. You can now carry concealed carry. You can, et cetera, et cetera. But you also have a duty. You have a duty to sign up for selective service. You can be drafted. So we need to just encourage that. So.
Yeah, and it's not to say that training isn't important. I mean, obviously, I know Aaron has a gun store that he operates as well. And we are absolutely in favor, and people do need training, with regard to it. But, the point being is...
make no mistake, I don't want to discourage training, because training is incredibly important, but putting training in between you and your constitutional rights is not right.
Yeah, no, that's 100% for sure. We did get another... Let me get this last text in that just came in. Again, it's a final stamp with regard to, the segment of as far as we've been talking about. And let me just read it. End the nightmare of the driver's license office back and bring it back to the county. You should not have to drive several counties away and wait in line to renew your license. So when you go back to your colleagues today, Aaron, share with them that at least on Kentucky's Voice and our listeners and viewers, they've made it clear that you're doing the right thing, and the Senate's done the right thing. Now we just need to get the House. And I do want to say, call your state representative. Your calls make a huge difference as far as getting bills across the finish line. You're listening to Kentucky's Voice. We'll be coming right back with our final segment. See you then.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KY Voice to 53555. every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Everyone is arguing about President Trump's move on Venezuela. In truth, it's not about drugs, not about terror, and not about oil, at least not the way people think. They're missing the point. Venezuela sits on the largest oil reserves on Earth, over 300 billion barrels, worth nearly $17 trillion. But here's the twist. The United States doesn't need that oil. China does. China buys nearly 90% of Venezuela's crude, almost all of Iran's oil, and a massive share of Russia's exports. Trump understood something most leaders ignore. Power doesn't come from owning energy. It comes from controlling who gets it. Destabilize Venezuela, pressure Iran at the same time. China suddenly loses 70% of its non-US regulated oil supply. No fuel for a Taiwan war. No energy for AI dominance. No BRICS currency replacing the dollar. No shots fired. No war declared. Just leverage. As Marco Rubio put it, we don't need Venezuelan oil, but we will not allow this hemisphere's energy to be controlled by America's adversaries. This isn't chaos. This isn't luck. This is Trump playing the long game, outthinking rivals, reshaping alliances and winning without asking permission. That's not recklessness, that's strategy.
Yeah, and I wanted to make certain that we've had really a great show today, Tom. I'm sure you would agree. Senator Reid's been absolutely fantastic, and our viewers, listeners are also obviously responding to what you're sharing. And, you know, I did want to talk about
some geopolitics.
The geopolitics.
I mean, we actually have a veteran of the global war on terror on the show, so he has probably a few opinions on topics like this. I mean, and we ought to set that up right. He's a Navy SEAL. He fought in Fallujah. He's got just a tremendous background in that.
I think we would have been remiss if we didn't have this conversation with him, because I know Aaron told me at one time he's been, I think, Aaron, you said that, and for those of you that are just joining us, we have Navy Senator Aaron Reid, Kentucky State Senator from District 7, but he was also a Navy SEAL for a long time, and he's been involved in over 300 engagements. At least I think you told me that one time, worldwide. So if anybody doesn't, as Tom was saying, that understands geopolitics, it's you, Senator Reed. And what are your thoughts about the clip we just played, and where we are right now as far as a nation, moving forward? We know, and I'll say it, we talk about it all the time, Tom and I do on this program. China is a problem, with regard to, they have infiltrated many aspects of our nation, and are doing things to, honestly, their goal, their end goal is to defeat us and, bring us down. Same with Russia, I think to a little lesser extent. And we know the Iranians always love to chant "Death to America," and been doing that a lot here recently, especially. What are your thoughts? Where are we going right now?
I think we're going in the right direction. I believe I support President Trump. I think, following the Monroe Doctrine is something that is very important. And, there's so many little tentacles that China and Russia have in the world as a whole. And, they're definitely very entwined into the Venezuelan issue, and, all the dark oil coming out of Venezuela is going to fund who knows what. And by stopping that, the Trump administration has done a really good job, I think, at really putting the boot on the throat of, some of our enemies in this Cold War that we have. With Russia and China. China, they're all over the world. They are playing the long game. They're trying to destroy America with death by 1,000 cuts.
That's right.
That's right. That's what they do.
They're on their way. Like, I don't know that we can do enough to counter what China has put into motion over the years. They train their kids in school to think to this mindset.
Mm-hmm.
They grow up thinking that they're going to take over America and that everything is, we're their enemy. And, they want nothing short of world dominance. It's ingrained into their kids, and it has been for some time. It's kind of crazy. I go to an event where I see a bunch of kids playing, and, our newest generation of kids are pretty coddled, and then I kind of think to myself, what would a group like this in China be looking like?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
See them all, stand
and that's just the thing with communist regimes in general. They have absolutely played and tried to play to, I think the woke agenda is a big part of that, as far as their strategies concerned, because you're not going to see any of the wokeism going on in China or
they
Russia.
don't do it there. They shut that down.
Of course
they push it on TikTok over here.
So I want to ask you with regard to what we just saw in Venezuela with our military. Oh my gosh! I mean, that all reports coming out of that, including from the other side, are saying, what do they have? These new weapons systems that they're using. I mean, it's amazing. First of all, we go in and get him to start with, Maduro, and his wife. And there's a strategy involved with her as well. We don't have time to go into that today, but got both of them, but without losing one single American life. And according to, depending on who you talk to, hundreds of I guess you could call them enemy combatants' lives were taken in this. And just some of the reports, I mean, and I know you've heard them, I just wanted to get your opinion on that as to, and I know we talked a little bit offline, but there is that kind of technology out there. A lot of it wasn't there necessarily when you were doing your thing, but there was, there was technology there.
Yeah, well, is that a real thing?
Upper hand on our adversaries.
Yeah. Is the sonic weapon a real thing, or is that just a rumor? Do you think that's a real?
I'll tell you, it could be a real thing, and it could be something designed to. Really just scare our enemies. I tell you, one of the rumors that was going around when I was in Iraq is that all of our tanks had force fields.
Oh.
And, we let that slip out through some psyops there, but we told we let it slip out that the way that you beat the force field is by wrapping a sandbag around a RPG round. So they would tape, some people would tape sandbags on an RPG and they would shoot it at these tanks. And of course,
that
when
throws it off.
it
Yeah.
would go all over the place and land
right.
off to the side somewhere, and PSYOP worked,
Yeah. That could be a really good psyop. That could be what that is. That's fascinating. Yeah. But
the people that are on the ground were saying that this was happening, and the bleeding from the noses, and things were going on, and even the communist Cubans who were there to protect Maduro, they admit that they lost 32 men in this assault.
It could be that, but I honestly think it was, maybe a little bit of new age technology, but man, I tell you, they train at a level that people would blow their mind. They would blow people's mind. The level of training, the level of quality of warrior that we have at the JSOC level and Tier 1 level. Delta Force did a job that I think will be taught in training manuals in the future on how to do it right. I mean, the whole symphony of warfare was on the world stage there. It was just simply amazing.
Yeah, really was.
And we were really being taunted by Maduro, and the Chinese that were there had just literally met with him. I think earlier in that day or the day before, and was basically saying, "Come and get me." Well, guess what? We came and got him. I tell you, as you know, Aaron, I'm one of the biggest supporters and proponents of our military, and I thank God. My oldest son is serving right now, and I thank God. I know your son served, you served. We got a lot of friends and relatives that are serving. I thank God every single day for our military and the job that you all have done to protect our country and keep freedom moving forward.
Yeah, and I want to give a hat tip, too, to the 160th Special Operations Group, which is based here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're based in Fort Campbell. So there we go. Those guys are, those guys are rock stars. I mean, they've got
the best in the world.
Yes. I mean, well, there you go. You've worked with them, I'm sure.
Best in the world.
Yes. It's just remarkable stuff. I've got a friend that's ex UH-60 pilot, and just told me some stories about stuff that only God could have brought him out of this stuff. He was like some of the dangerous situations. So it's hats off to and apparently this Maduro raid is being touted as the most successful special operations raid to ever occur. I mean, just the way it happened, it was just so dramatic. I think it probably outclasses the Bin Laden raid from what the people are discussing. But anyway, so
I'm kind of partial to the dev group guys, being a Navy SEAL and all, but I tell you, I can't take anything away from those Delta boys. They did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
They sure
well,
did.
we only have a couple minutes to go. Aaron, is there any other final thoughts that you have that you'd like to share with our listeners?
While you were speaking just now about the military, I go back to what my dad always told me, why I serve in the first place. He always said that America is free because good men serve. And, I was talking to a young man last night about becoming a Navy SEAL, and, it was in his heart that he wanted to live a life of meaning, and to serve at a higher level. And I told him, you go to special operations, you're going to get to serve your country in style. And I was blessed to be able to do that. And anyone that is interested in doing that, your country needs you, America needs you. And, now is the good time to come into the military. You've got an outstanding commander in chief, Godspeed, and God bless America for sure.
Amen.
Exactly
And
right.
that's our time's about up, and that is going to do it for today's edition of the Tom and Bob Show on Kentucky's Voice. Our special thanks obviously goes to Senator Aaron Reed for joining us today, and and Aaron, we thank you for your continued service to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. People don't have any idea how hard our legislators work, for really not much pay, in the process. So I want to publicly say thank you very much for your continued service to not only to our nation, but to the state of Kentucky. And folks, I just want to also remind you that strong communities do require strong values. Disciplined leadership and engaged citizens. I just want you to know how much we love and appreciate you here at Kentucky's Voice. You matter to us, And God bless you. God bless Kentucky. And God bless the United States of America. We'll see you next time.